straight. Yes, thank you, Kat. And this has only the barest amount of curve, like that. Like that. And a sock doesn't do that.
This is a scar?
Yeah. Such an attention whore. That guy. Alright. It's like you came home and you didn't give me love. Okay. Here's what a sock will do. It's got a much sharper angle. And it's got a heel built in. This is designed to turn the shape of it. So it's not a 90-degree turn, but you wouldn't want it to be because your foot's not a 90-degree. Okay. But it's definitely closer to 45. That is more like a 10 or 15 degree. So if you compare the angles, it has to bunch.
Okay.
There's nothing for it. I could put a dart in across here and that would take up the wrinkles, but I don't think it would look very good. And if it's stretched over the boot, then I don't think it would be quite as noticeable because it has to stretch more, but I'm not entirely sure. But this is just how they made it. It does not have the same angle that a sock would, and so it will bunch more. It's just the construction. I mean, it's nice because it's all one-piece construction, but that's one of the challenges of doing it the way they're doing it.
Ugh, it's so vibrant.
Did you want to take a look at the chest with some of the ripples here?
Yeah, yeah,
All right,
okay.
I've got a couple of these.
This is what I wanted.
Since we're nice.
Those spidey reflexes.
Yes, alright. The buckling through here, maybe we can just go through the photos in order so I don't miss anything. Okay, so this we looked at, and this is without boot, I think. Yeah, because I can see your toe there. I think the boot will smooth it out some, and I can take it in a little to help reduce some of that, but it's gonna buckle anyway. It's just how they cut it. When fabric is cut, it is a combination of the grain of the fabric and the shape that's cut out that determines how it falls across the body. So, like a sleeve, the sleeves do not come straight square out, otherwise you get this weird baggy thing under the arm. They come out at an angle, and that shapes the way it goes. So when they cut this, by cutting the torso a little long, and I let it out some across the hip, but I'm gonna try and smooth these points out. Chances are I'll do that by actually opening it further down the hip. It's gonna add a seam, it extends what's there, but it'll take the peak out, or as much of it as I can get out as possible. This is a thing where if you were a woman and you had hips, it would come out and it would flare and it would fill out through that area. But it's so exaggerated for an athletically shaped gentleman that it's going to be peaky and weird. So that's where this is.
So by the time you're done with that, what is it supposed to look like?
By the time I'm done with this, it'll probably run down to here, and it'll be one seam. It'll look kind of like this.
This is for me to get in, or?
No, this is just to take the peak out on the other side. So the seams will match. Like I'll take this, and the zipper will come straight down instead. Okay. So it's easy down here. If I had followed that directly, you couldn't get into it. You wouldn't be able to raise your arms above your head. So that is their guideline for that seam. And I let this out pretty far. I can give you a little more space. But
so what am I gonna do with that? Because if it's like an incomplete puzzle, you know.
Well, as far as puff paint goes, you can do a lot by bridging those gaps.
I looked at it and I said I could puff try and connect some lines with puff paint, but I don't really know.
Some of them you can. Like I would say,
because that's the same problem with the mask too. There's like a patch on
there's
the back.
a patch where it doesn't match.
Yeah, like you can't puff paint that.
This is actually reasonably good. I think it starts to break down through here. Yeah, this is where it breaks down. So this all lines up. Measurements. I measure like from the hip to ankle and diameter of the thigh, chest, waist, underarm to your hip so the torso's the right length. I measure everything. But one of the questions I sent you to ask them is if they can use other measurements, because then you could continue to use their service, but they could fit it better. But if they aren't doing the mask correctly, like if they're including that little is that. So it'll be a lot more comfortable to wear and it won't have any bunching under it. It's just, if I want to have freedom to move it around, to change the fit, anything like that, then I have to leave this in there. Because if something needs to be let out, like in some of the other places through the hip and through the upper thigh, then I have to have that extra fabric. There's not a whole lot there because, like over here, this is a big deal. This is down at the crotch, and this is all extra space that I gave you, and it's already stretched pale white when you crouch. And I can't give you more fabric there. That's pretty much it. I can help a little bit through here, but not a whole lot. And you can tell from it being, oh man, all right, this is not good. All right, see how the stitches are visible?
Yeah.
That's because the fabric was overstretched. And there, you can see the damage from it. Yeah. So, and you can see how it turns white when it's overstretched. And this is just a little bit. So when it's really overstretched, I could see your toe through the suit. So that's one of those things that really worries me, because I don't want you to burst a seam when you're at a con. Because say you see a friend, you go sprinting after him, pop, you are fucked.
Yeah.
Pardon my language. But that's basically what would happen, because you're gonna pop a seam and you are screwed. Because Lycra, once a seam is busted, it'll damage the fabric as well, because it won't fray, but it is soft. If it gets a hole in it, the hole will grow. And it's kind of elastic, so it's awesome. Alright, so here we are. We've had the first fitting, and now we've gone over photos. We've talked about things that we need to do to finish it up. So the first thing we're going to do is hold off on altering the hood until we have a face shell, because that's going to give us the final dimensions and show us exactly what needs to change. Things that we know will change are the zipper, and we're going to take in some of the seams because it'll be nice and snug. I'm very, very cautious when I sew seams, so I left a lot of space. And now that we know how it fits, I can go back, put in final stitches, and take those in so it's nice and snug. We're going to go through, we're going to clean up the throat seam. I don't know if your audience has seen some of the other photos, but the throat seam has a little bit of extra space in it, so that's going to get cleaned up. In the hood, it looks like a 12 to 14 inch zipper is going to be the optimal length. It's going to be black so it matches the webbing, and the tag for it is going to be at the nape of the neck. Let's see. We are going to test fit one more time. Some stitches will be finalized, others will not. We're going to test what it's like taking in the shoulders. It'll be even more snug, but it will line up all of the webbing, and we're just going to test it and see how it goes. If we like it, looks good, and it will wear well, then we're going to finalize it in that position. Otherwise, we'll go ahead, pop the seams, and set it back to a more relaxed seam. We looked at the zipper for getting into and out of the suit, Even though invisible zippers do have a reduced footprint, it is not really invisible. So when it makes a 90-degree turn, there is a very definite pucker in the suit. And well, that might be acceptable for some. If it goes straight down the hip and follows the dart that's recommended in the sewing pattern, then it will continue to be an invisible zipper. It'll have a minimum outline, and I think it'll also clean up the puckering on the edge of the suit. It'll be easier to get into and out of. And it will be easier on the zipper because zippers don't like 90-degree turns. Let's see. Okay, so the gloves. Gloves and any fine details are the kinds of things that don't handle basting stitches, test fits, and then being redone very well. They're very delicate. But we're at the point where we can put them together and get the final gloves all done. One foot was left open so we could determine how the boot should go in. Now that we've figured out how that works, the best way to do it is to close it up and follow another method. We are going to finalize the leg stitching. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It fits great, it looks great, so we're just going to call it good. We are going to leave the red section of the suit at the feet untouched, and that is so we can do another test fit with the boots in place so we can see exactly what needs to change with all of the accessories. Once those are done, we can go back, finalize stitches, and call that good. And let's see, the very last things are just to make sure that all of the zippers are going to be the correct colors, so either very, very dark blue or black. It just depends on their placement. You match the zipper color so that it goes best with the area that it's being placed in. And the hip darts. One dart is going to be smoothed out because it's got a zipper there already, and the other dart is a little extreme, so it also will be smoothed out so it matches its partner. After that, we are going to be putting on the pleather detailing on the palms, and that is basically a very slow, even stitch to keep those suckers in place. At which point, time for photos.